Hello there, welcome to Brian Lomax's Movie Talk and my latest Blu-ray update. Just want to go through the latest Blu-rays that I've been buying and receiving actually from some people. Some of these have been gifts. But yeah, just before I do, I would like to give a bit of a shout out to I guess a new friend that I made on Facebook called As Blakey. Yeah, he just got in touch with me and asked me if I wanted any digital codes. Presumably he saw me through the Killer Flicks Facebook page, so yeah, do check out that page if you've not already. And yeah, he just got in touch, asked if I wanted any codes, and he gave me the digital code to It, a film which I've not bought yet. I tend not to buy new releases. I tend to wait a year because Blu-rays go down in price so fast that, you know, I like to wait. But that's a new release that I didn't own, and he quite happily gave me the code for that. So yeah, big shout out to As Blakey. Thank you for that. He is on Twitter, so do go and follow him. Yeah, another one actually from a friend of mine called Matt. He gave me The Artist on Blu-ray. It's not one of my favourite films. He knows this. He's not going to be insulted by this, just in case you're wondering. But I am collecting all of the Best Picture Oscar winners. At some point, I do want to make my way through them all. I have been doing here and there. But yeah, it is one that I don't own. So yeah, again, thanks to Matt for giving me The Artist on Blu-ray. It's a good film. You know, I don't think it deserved Best Picture. I have seen it before. Like, as is often the case, I think with the Oscars, I rarely think they get it right. I do think the Oscars generally are a good indicator of what films are good, just not necessarily an indicator of what should win. You know, Get Out is a good film. It shouldn't get a nomination for Best Picture, but that's just my personal opinion. I know it isn't shared by many. Anyway, let's get to the Blu-rays in this update. First up, we have got Blade Runner, Ridley Scott's classic. I did own this on DVD. I think I've given it away to someone. But yeah, I wanted it on Blu-ray. If ever there's a film you need to own on Blu-ray, I think it has to be Blade Runner, and particularly the final cut. I personally think the final cut is the best version of the film. I think it does change the meaning of certain things. I mean, if you've always kind of grown up with the theatrical cut or the the director's cut or whatever, I do think Ridley Scott changed a few things from a meaning standpoint over the course of redoing his film, recutting it and whatnot. That's kind of unfortunate in many ways, because I always feel like a filmmaker should say what they want to say with their first time around, not kind of change things over the course of time. But yeah, anyway. Personally, I'm fine with it in this case. I do think that the final cut is the best cut of the film, and I'm looking forward to watching it for the first time on Blu-ray. Obviously I've seen it many times before, but I've never seen it on Blu-ray, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the transfer is going to be like. One of the other reasons I bought Blade Runner is, of course, because I wanted to buy this. Now, I did just say that I don't tend to buy new releases. I had to make an exception for this. If you've seen my Lomax Movie Awards recently, you'll know this pretty much was my favourite film of 2017, but it kind of swept many of my choices for the awards. It just, yeah, swept the board, really. I just thought it was an amazing achievement, and how it wasn't nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars when Get Out was, I will never know. To me personally, it's one of the best science fiction films, certainly of the last 20 years. May in fact be the best science fiction film in the last 20 years. I think the only two I can think of right now that really give it a run for its money are the two Christopher Nolan films, Interstellar and Inception. But yeah, I love it. I love any kind of science fiction film that one is made that well, but just deals with big themes. You know, the big questions. What's the meaning of life, really? Does God exist? If he does, what does that mean? If he doesn't, what does that mean for us? What does it mean to be human? What separates us from the animals, I guess? What separates us from robots, should we ever get to the stage where we create them with you know, artificial intelligence? It's just a great film, asks those questions, never provides clear-cut answers, kind of leaves it to you to make up your own answers based on what it gives you, I guess. And again, I like that. I like those kind of films that do that. They're quite open-ended. Blade Runner 2049, absolute masterpiece. Next up is Clint Eastwood's film Changeling. This is written by J. Michael Straczynski, who was the creator of Babylon 5, a series that I know many people weren't particularly favourable of, but again, I'm a big science fiction fan, and I think it is one of the best sci-fi shows of all time. I just think the way the story was mapped out is fantastic. But I'm not here to talk about Babylon 5, I'm here to talk about Changeling, and I think, yeah, it's a brilliant script and a bizarre true story. You know, if you've never seen this, I strongly urge you to check it out. It's one of those stories where you can't quite believe that what you're seeing was true, that this actually happened, that, you know, a woman's son was taken and that the FBI or the law enforcement agencies brought him back and it wasn't actually him. They brought some other kid back just to shut this woman up and just to basically get a win in the papers. And obviously she didn't accept it. She knew it wasn't her son and she wouldn't accept it, and quite rightly so. But yeah, what a bizarre story. And a sign of the times in which it was set, you know, that women could be treated that way and not really have a voice. So yeah, it is a great film. I think Clint Eastwood does some of his best direction, and it goes some pretty dark places, it must be said. Next up, back to science fiction, and we've got the X-Files movie, the first X-Files movie, which was called Fight the Future. I've been an X-Files fan since day one, since the first episode of the show was broadcast on TV. Yeah, I've been with it ever since. Die-hard fan. One of my top 2 TV shows of all time. It's really between the X-Files and the West Wing. I think the quality of the West Wing kind of was more consistent, but I just love those characters of Mulder and Scully. My favourite TV characters, it must be said. But yeah, as a fan of the show in the 5th season, end of the 5th season, to have it going to the movies, it was, for me, it was incredible. You know, like they'd done it before with like Star Trek. I can't think of many other TV shows they'd done it with, like Twilight Zone. I know they did it with, but yeah, it was a pretty rare thing really for a TV show to get a movie. So I couldn't believe it was happening. I'd always hoped that it would, and then it did, you know. And so to be sat there in theatres watching my favourite characters up on the big screen in a fully fledged movie with a big budget, all, you know, the whole shebang, I loved it. Now I can understand why casual moviegoers, people who aren't die-hard X-Files fans, might say that it was a good film but not a great film. But for someone like me who is a die-hard X-Files fan, it was great. It was beautiful. It was brilliant. Yeah, it was everything that I loved about the show up on the big screen. Bigger, bolder, you know, more explosive. Just, yeah. What can I say? You know, if you're an X-Files fan, you'll understand. If not, then I guess you won't. Which brings me to the next one, which is the second X-Files film, which is called I Want to Believe. This had the awful misfortune of one being released pretty much around the same time as The Dark Knight and Wall-E. So it got buried. pretty much. And two, the publicity for it was absolute crap. Now, bearing in mind just how big of an X-Files fan I am, I didn't know anything about this film being made until the trailer hit. Like, seriously, given the amount we know about movies today, before trailers even come out, to literally hear about this film first from the trailer, literally sat there and boom, there's a trailer. I'm like, is this a joke? Seriously, I thought it was a mock-up. I thought some fans had done like a fan-made trailer, hoping for a new movie. And yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I'm watching it and I'm seeing the footage. And I'm like, this is genuine footage. This is real footage. This hasn't been cribbed from other movies or anything like that. I couldn't believe it. So the marketing for it, quite frankly, was crap. The box office results were crap, and that is to be expected. I think the film is very good. Actually, I think it's very underrated. I think that obviously they blew it with the marketing. There was no way they were getting bums in seats around that time with the amount they spent on marketing. When the die-hard fans don't even know about it, they ain't getting people in to watch it. But yeah, it didn't have great reviews, so that didn't help. You know, it is a film that has been pretty much panned, and even by a lot of X-Files fans, to be honest. But I like it. I liked it. What can I say? I don't think it felt quite as cinematic as the first film. Again, that's mainly down to the fact that it didn't have the same amount of money behind it. But I think that it is a very good film in a Silence of the Lambs, Manhunter kind of vibes, kind of way. You know, Chris Carter, who created the X-Files, he was always interested in those kind of movies, those kind of shows. You know, he drew a lot of inspiration for the character of Scully from Clarice Starling. So yeah, to have this film in which it's very low key, it's a murder mystery. They're trying to find out, you know, what's going on with these women who've been abducted, who've been murdered, and then the faith angle comes into play. And this is one of the things I always loved about the show, this discussion about faith. You know, whether it's a belief in God or belief in the paranormal or whatever, what is it that drives us? And, you know, again, going back to what I said about Blade Runner 2049 and Blade Runner, this idea, you know, these questions, does God exist? If so, what does that mean for us? And in the case of this movie, the question is, can and would God speak through someone like a convicted paedophile? You know, and that's a hard thing to look at, to accept. You know, that idea that someone like a paedophile could be used by God for a greater good. You know, and Scully, who is a character who does have faith, she's Catholic, she has a faith in God. She wrestles with that in this film. That's one of the main character journeys. So this, you know, this isn't a big movie. It's not UFOs, Independence Day style destruction or anything like that. It's a very quiet, very intimate kind of thriller, serial killer thriller in the vein of, as I say, Silence of the Lambs, that kind of thing. And for me, all the better for it. You know, we are. If you're a fan of the X-Files, you'll know they did different types of show. They had the humour ones, they had the conspiracy mythology arc ones, they had the Monster of the Week ones, and the Monster of the Week ones themselves were kind of divided up into different styles. And this is simply one of those. They chose to do this particular kind of episode for the big screen, and I liked it. If you're not a fan of the X-Files, I've probably waffled on about these two particular movies for far too long, so I will move on to my next one, which is Good Will Hunting. Absolute classic as far as I'm concerned. One of my top 20 movies of all time. At least it was when when I first started my channel. I did a top 100 movies. Man alive, that was an undertaking for someone just starting a YouTube channel. Probably a mistake, I think. But yeah, it made my top 20, top 10, in fact, I think. I don't know, I can't remember now, actually. But this is a film that I think would still be in my top 20 if I was to draw up that list right now. Just brilliant from start to finish. Amazing script from Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, brilliantly character driven, just a really great study of this incredibly talented, intelligent individual, and another man, a psychologist, who both of these characters in their own ways are broken people and in their own ways help to fix each other. So yeah, it's a simple story, but really brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, and for my money, Robin Williams' best performance of his career. I personally think this is the best performance of his career. And that scene right there on the front cover where they're sat on that bench and basically Will Hunting just you know, he's basically told to shut up. He shuts up and Robin Williams gives this monologue. One of my favourite monologues in movie history. Just, yeah, perfection, really. Just speaks volumes about a marriage and about commitment and sacrifice and what it truly means to share your life with someone. Yeah, Good Will Hunting, 5 out of 5, amazing film. Next up is Tim Burton's first Batman film. This will always hold a special place in my heart. It is the film that made me a Batman fan. It was first aired on TV in the UK of Christmas 1991. It may have even been Christmas Day, in fact, and I taped it on the TV. Up till that point, Critters and Highlander had been my favourite films. I had them on videotape and I used to just watch them again and again and again. And then, as I say, this played on TV, I taped it, and it was my favourite film from that point on and for many years afterwards. Not anymore, you know, obviously I've moved on to The Dark Knight being my favourite film, so not too far from the tree, but yeah, this film has got a lot to answer for. It's also the first film, along with the sequel, that made me take notice of directors and their impact on films and made me want to become a director myself. So yeah, brilliant stuff. Jack Nicholson's great as the Joker, Michael Keaton's great as Batman, and yeah, this really was, after Superman, the next comic book movie that really kind of got things started again, because nothing really came of Superman with regards to other comic book movies kind of taking off. You know, Superman came out and then that was it really for quite some time, and then this came out, and then on the back of this we had Dick Tracy, we had The Crow, we had The Shadow, we had, you know, a lot of those films not particularly good. The Crow was, but yeah, a lot of those others not particularly great. But yeah, it was because of this film that interest in comic book movies really surged. Obviously, it wasn't until Blade and X-Men 10 years later that resurgence kind of kick-started again, and then we got the era that we're in now of Marvel movies and the like. So yeah. Next up is Batman Returns, the sequel. Yeah, love this film. I think I may even like it more than the first one now. I just love the style, the production design on it is so beautiful. It is a film that I can turn the sound off and just watch for the visuals, to be honest. But yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman as well. Man alive, I had the biggest crush on Michelle Pfeiffer for so many years. As a teenager, she was, yeah. What can I say? Every teenage boy, I guess, has that, you know, that thing. But yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer was definitely it for me. Yeah, just a good film. The Penguin as well, very good villain, I think. Quite an underrated villain. Unbelievable that Danny DeVito was nominated for a Razzie Award for that performance. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, because his performance as the Penguin in this is incredible. You know, yeah. Sometimes people who come up with awards just don't have a clue what they're talking about. But yeah, quite a tragic character, quite a sympathetic character in many ways, but also a very evil character. And I think it's quite a skill, both in writing and performance, and in directing actually, to do that, to create a villain that is pure evil, but you can also sympathise with and feel tragic about. Very much in the vein of Norman Bates, that kind of character. So yeah, Batman Returns, great film in my book. Next up is Hugo, and this is my favourite Martin Scorsese film. It's a contender between this and Silence. I think I need to see both of these again before I can be absolutely definitive on that. But yeah, I think Silence had the biggest impact on me of any Scorsese film. Had me thinking for days. But this, to me, it was just so beautiful. Everything about it. As a lover of cinema, I think, you know, if you do love cinema, if you love the history of cinema, I think you have to watch this film. You know, taking a character like Melee, and yeah, revolving a story around him. It's just, what can I say? It's beautiful. Cinematography in it is incredible. One of the most beautiful looking films I think I've seen, and great performances all round. I just every time I pick this up off my shelf, I want to watch it again. Every time I see it sat there, you know, I have so many films on Blu Ray and DVD that I've not got around to watching, and I always go to my shelves and I'm like looking through them, thinking, what can I watch? Every time I see this, I'm like, oh yes, I need to watch you again. But yeah, I end up going with something that I'm not seeing. But yeah, it's a great film anyway. You know, I'm not the biggest Scorsese fan. I like him a lot. But I'm not sure he'd be in my top 10 directors or anything. It'd be close. He's definitely up there. I recognise his talent, but yeah, this is the film that definitely made me go, you know what? Whichever way you cut it, he is a great filmmaker. So Hugo. And finally, we have got The Next 3 Days. Now, I meant to buy this quite a while ago because a friend of mine on YouTube, Jack Grimson, who hasn't done a right lot actually on his channel recently. I hope if you're watching this, Jack, I hope you're doing well, mate. But yeah, you recommended this, or I think you asked me if I'd seen it. I said I had, and I think you wanted me to do a review of it. So yeah, I bought it. It's a long time since I've seen it, so I wouldn't be able to do a review blind. So I bought it, and when I watch it, I will do a review for it, mate. So yeah, just off the top of my head, I do remember it being a very good film. It is a remake of a foreign language film. I've not seen that one. I saw this one first, and only this one. I've still not seen the original. And I think sometimes it helps to do that. I think you can appreciate a remake a lot more if you've seen it first. I know a lot of people were a bit sniffy about this, and they tend to be people who saw the original. You know, but I haven't, so therefore I can come to this with an objective mindset, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's from the director of Crash, the writer and director of Crash. Again, another film I find underrated. I know a lot of people will argue against that because it won Best Picture at the Oscars. How can it be underrated if it won Best Picture? But I just, it's one of those films that since it won Best Picture, so many people have got the knives out for it. So many people have kind of, yeah, really railed against it and said that it was rubbish. Now obviously it came out the same year as Batman Begins, so clearly I'm not going to think that it did deserve to win Best Picture, but it was still a very good film, I think. Yeah, so there you go. That is the Blu-rays I've picked up recently. Please do let me know what you think of any of these films. And yeah, comment below, let me know your thoughts. And until next time, cracking.